It is a region once forgotten, covered in snow most of the year, and sparsely populated. No sentinel is there to guide its civilization.
And just like that, we can narrow down Rover's next attribute fairly cleanly. It won't be Electro, but in fact, it'll likely be Fusion or Glacio based on this description. Each region has a clear tone to it. We have the Black Shores with stars, we have a war-torn location for Havoc, that being Genjo, and of course, Renacida being islands, aka waves and wind. And then up next, we'll likely have Glacio with this cold, depressive landscape. This is a place where Star Torch Academy is a warmth in the cold. It also lacks a sentinel, in other words. This could mean that it's lacking the warmth of a sentinel's guidance, meaning that Fusion Rover could appear and replace that warmth. It's also a place that likely means you need to do more to survive. Perhaps not overtly dystopian, but perhaps more based on cybernetics, mechs, and machines needing technology to survive. After all, if Star Torch Academy is anything to go off of, then it is possible that resonators here may be rare, or supervised more often, meaning there may be more reliance on technology, meaning we might get more people like Zhang Liao. However, this lack of a sentinel could easily be why Rover obtains Glacio next, because he has to survive and thrive off of his own creativity and insights, having to crystallize who he is and overcome the haunting reality that the universe wants humanity dead, as opposed to following his passions and warmth of heart. Both provide beautiful symbolic resonance to the area based on a destruction and the pattern of regions, meeting the attribute Rover gets matches. The Black Shores Rover's home even deals with stars, aka spectro light. However, Kuro has flipped tropes and ideas and inverted them before, meaning Fusion isn't out of the clear just yet. Let us look at what Rover symbolizes. Rover is this aspect of hope, a savior of humanity. This is her role in the story, even Cristoforo admits as such. He's a moral, kind, and emotionally intelligent individual, loyal and caring. Next, let us look at the attributes. Well, Spectro is the attribute of light. It's the manipulation of photons, which clearly fits the role. The inversion of that, specifically the creation of light, is the destruction of it, also known as annihilation, the two dualities obtained first and foremost. And up next we have Arrow, the attribute of freedom, as of course that's typically what wind and waves represent. However, it should also be noted that it does not come without hardship, not true freedom, but rather the battle to obtain freedom and expression. It is a form of agency within your own life. We then have Fusion, which is symbolic of passions, of having a heart and liberation, not in the sense of freedom, but in the sense of being able to pursue without a burden weighing on your heart. Arrow might have a sense of doing the right thing, but Fusion is a passion for doing what you love, even if it may seem selfish to others. Then we have Glacio, which is representative more of crystallization. It is the capturing of arts and beauty. It is mankind's creativity. Even Baija is creative. I mean, she canonically constructs and deconstructs models of Yutan in her spare time. Her scientific studies are indicative of her creativity. Remember, data isn't a lack of creativity, it is, in fact, the starting point. Without a proper understanding, how can you ever begin to save someone, let alone yourself? And then we have Electro, which seems to be based more so on mankind's adaptability, the ability to change oneself in the world around them. Reconfiguration, Yenlin's disguise as Kalkar's literal duplicate of himself, Lumi enlarging her squeaky, and Augusta with her ambition. Electro is a mixture of arrogance, ambition, and desire for change. So, with all of these, which one makes sense? Well, it's obviously Glacio. While I personally love the idea of Fusion Rover coming out and essentially warming the hearts of Lahai Roy, I think this might be more about crystallizing Rover's own ambitions, characters, and path forward. And since we may be going to a school, perhaps even see a form of art. We do know that Rover has an appreciation of it, though not to the extent of Carlotta Montelli, Ling Yang's dancing, or Zhejia's paintings. Oh, and also because Glacio has the lowest amount of characters, so for 3.0 or 3.1 we can expect a new 5-star Spectro who will probably be... I don't even know at this point what they're doing with the Spectro attribute. All I want to say is that I still am waiting and have been waiting ever since 2.0 for a Spectro gun user. Outside of my personal wish for the next Spectro character, I think that predicting the next attribute is way too easy. It's simple pattern recognition, unworthy of a video itself. The real cake comes from predicting what Glacio Rover would look like, and luckily for us, the Glacio attribute can help give us more information on this. We have 2 gauntlets, which do opposing things, and then the same with the rectifiers. All we have to do is look at what Sanhua does and figure out what she doesn't do to help figure out what Glacio Rover may do. Well, I think it's quite simple. Sanhua has a unique mechanic where she deals more damage the lower HP an enemy has. It's possible Glacio Rover might deal more damage the less HP he has, or that he would provide a shield of sorts instead. Sanhua focuses more on buffing allies and dealing a good bit of damage herself. Perhaps Glacio Rover will have a focus on debuffing enemies while, again, just dealing a respectable damage number. If we follow the pattern, then Glacio should be Rover symbolically coming to terms with some difficult reality, as well as crystallizing his path forward. He lost part of himself and is capable of consuming the lament itself. I don't think we're getting another support like Arrow Rover, but perhaps something more akin to Spectro Rover in terms of use. As in, he'll do a little bit of everything, apply debuffs, deal respectable damage, and also have an ability that protects himself. Now then, we have Arrow Rover being based on skill damage. What would this mean for Glacio Rover? Basic attack damage, heavy attack, maybe liberation? Well, we have coordinated attacks, basic attacks, and skill damage already covered in Glacio. I think Glacio Rover might be liberation based, perhaps with an enhanced state like Havoc Rover. Essentially take parts from his last 3 attributes and then crystallize them into something new. Glacio Rover likely won't be the best at anything, but he won't be the worst either, unless he scales off defense, in which case things are going to be rough for him without a useful Sonata set. I think it is also important to add that while Glacio Rover is likely to be a hybrid, Glacio Chafe is also not the only debuff in the game. Frolova actually applies a debuff to the enemies that lowers their attack, so Kuro games can get creative with debuffs such as Spectral Rover's Time Slow being applied to Glacio to slow down enemies, as opposed to freezing them in place, meaning you'd still want to pull for that premium Glacio Chafe unit. But also that Glacio Rover can be used in the game, which seems to be how Kuro prefers Rover to be. Temporarily the best unit for a team before releasing a replacement for them that either changes the role such as Phoebe or replaces their role such as Chisa. That said, fusion is something possible for Rover to happen, an inversion of expectations which would be welcome. As for what fusion Rover would look like outside of speed, I cannot really tell you. Canonically, Rover does have Infernal Rider in his terminal, but Glacio is really the only one I can make a solid prediction on, given what we know in the game as of current. But what do you all think? Do you think my idea of Glacio Rover coming next is too far out there, or do you think that I might be onto something? Let me know your own thoughts on what attribute Rover may get next down below, and let's start a discussion. Special thanks to channel members Nighttime, Akorus, Shaiko, April Dev, Bot, Hanabi, Chris the Snitch, and Ice Dragon. Special thanks as well to Icy Sincere 13 and Ozzy. And a special thanks to our first channel member ever, Takoyaki Lover.